Penny, for your thoughts. Y'all knew I was going to go there, right? I don't think there's a single person who didn't have that thought.
What? This is the mind.
Oh, man. There's so many directions I could go.
I know.
There's so many. Let's just say we're going to talk about the Daniel Penny case. All this and more. The Self-Evident Podcast. Welcome to the Self-Evident Podcast. You got Mike. You got Massey.
We are here in the house.
Yeah, and the live studio audience is here too. And we've got some hats. Massey's got a hat.
Yeah, we got to talk about this for a minute. You guys buying these things actually really supports us. You see our new shirts? I mean, you've seen pictures. We got them in short sleeve now too, which is great. The front talks about the sovereign stuff. This is the back. We have no king but Jesus, right? So, and then, obviously our other ones, Mike's has one on right now, Free the Speech. He's got that one on. I've got the black version of this shirt. Guys, all these are Christmas gifts, and you can have yours today. We're actually having a...
I feel like I'm on QVC.
No, seriously, we're having a discount right now.
What's the discount?
2
easy payments.
No, yeah. 1 for 30, 2 for 60. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. So, all yours this week. Christmas time.
Get your presents for all your family.
Hats.
Your family needs to wear clothes, right?
Man,
so get them a shirt.
Yeah.
It's all a shirt for them. No, but seriously, I'm going to hijack this train and say, boy, that's probably charged language at this point. Hijack public transportation.
Well, listen. As long as this is being put in your head to get,
just get it.
just get it.
Yeah.
Make great gifts.
Make Rick America
They make
again.
great Christmas gifts.
Mary Chrysler.
And I'm telling you, it supports a great ministry. So you guys got to get your
Who?
stuff.
Who's the support?
Self-Evident Ministry. Go to theselfevidenttruth.com and you can find out more. Also, you can sign up for our newsletter. If you have not seen our recent newsletter, it's our year-end newsletter where we are telling you our needs for next year and what God's doing already. So it's really exciting. You guys want to be a part of that as well. Thank you so much for tuning in to Self-Evident Podcast. And like he said before, man, the jury doesn't even have a penny for thoughts.
No, they don't. You're right.
Ain't nothing going on over there. But it's a crazy
Give
case.
them a penny and
I got to be honest.
hand you change back.
I've been kind of researching social media for the last week here, just trying to see what's trending, what's hot.
Yeah.
I did not know anything about this case. I don't know why.
I followed it just kind of passively as I've seen things come up, and I remember when it happened, the guy turned himself in, and of course, it sparked up a little bit of outrage, and I'm sure Al Sharpton was somewhere near this whole thing. Sniffs it like, jeez. Anyways, so Daniel Penny, what was going on with this? So in New York, there was a man named Jordan Neely who got onto a subway car and was shouting that someone would die today and warned people that he wasn't afraid to go to prison for life. He was acting very chaotically, sporadically. A lot of the commuters were scared and very worrisome about what he might do. And on May 1st, Daniel Penny had left class, boarded the train to head to the gym. Neely was on board that train, acting very dangerously in people's eyes. Witnesses said he was shouting about needing food and something to drink before whipping his jacket to the floor and starting to scream. And then, of course, witnesses differed in how they explained his stuff. So Nathan, if you want to throw up slide 1, just look at the picture on the left side. Yep. Penny stepped in, approached Neely from behind with the help of 2 other passengers. Penny pinned Neely to the ground, placed him in a chokehold until Neely's body went limp and he lost consciousness. Medical examiner's office ruled the death a homicide caused by compression of the neck. Right? Is it not there? Okay. Don't worry about it. Anyways, I'll just search Penny chokehold and you'll get it, honestly. Not you. Anyways, the train stopped at Broadway station, allowing passengers to get off, but Penny did not let go. Prosecutors and the defense both agree that Penny had the right to step in, but prosecutors argue that Penny used too much force on an unarmed man. So what did the prosecutor say? Defina Yoran told jurors at the start of summations Monday that Daniel Penny used too much force for too long on Neely, holding him in a chokehold for nearly 6 minutes. Now, my only thought on that is there is a difference in pressure, right? I could hold you in a chokehold, but I'm not compressing airway at all.
Right. I'm just essentially
controlling you.
Controlling and holding you down so that you're not being belligerent to passengers.
Exactly.
That's one way to look at it.
Because the neck is kind of a central focus of control for a person.
Right.
You can control a person very easily if you
have the head.
If you've got the head, right? That's different from actually cutting off air, right? So prosecutors argued that he could have released Neely after passengers stepped off the train at the station once he no longer a threat. Defense lawyer Stephen Razor says Penny acted to save subway riders from threatening behavior, argued Penny held on to Neely until police arrived so they could take him into custody. Now, he was still alive when officers arrested him.
Oh,
his
that's
heart
an
was
important
still
note.
beating when he was unconscious, but his heart was still beating. That's important to note here. Okay. And this prosecutor, same prosecutor, reduced the sentence of a man who robbed an 80-something-year-old at an ATM, punched him so hard that the guy ended up dying, and chose to give him a much lighter sentence in the realm of restorative justice. So this guy killed somebody, right, robbing them, and prosecutor went for restorative justice for that defendant. Here, there's no claim of restorative justice.
Right.
No claim of, look,
He was
you were
watching
trying
out
to
for
do
someone else.
good.
Yeah.
You tried to help. It got out of hand. We've got to give you something. But no, they're going for manslaughter and negligent homicide. So question is, have we seen this type of situation before?
Right. Jorge Floyd?
Saint
You know
George
that Hispanic
Floyd.
guy from Minnesota? I think, too, it's something important to note that what you're seeing is, I think Jenna Ellis said it. She said, stay out of New York, man. It's getting bonkers. Justice in and of itself is no longer really justice. It really is about high-profile cases and what's going to garner media attention and all that kind of stuff. At this point, lawyers have become activists. You know, they're not even really lawyers at this point. And I shouldn't say everybody. I think there are lawyers who are doing good, like, people we know from the ACLJ and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So, like, there are lawyers who are trying to do good. Right. But even those guys, they're activists. They want righteousness in the land. So they're activizing for something. But, like, you're seeing activizing. They're being activists for something.
I love that you're like, there are good lawyers, and I was waiting for like the cricket sound to go out. Somewhere there must be a good lawyer somewhere
honest and just, fair. But you're seeing more of this happen with lawyers that are becoming more the activist side. They're not looking at judgment and justice anymore as things by principle. We're judging them by things of emotion. You kind of went through this in your jury duty case that you were talking about, that even no matter if you felt the person doing the wrong was wrong, there's a sect of people who go, but we can't judge that. You know what I mean? It's like,
he seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, it's like, whoa.
Well, hold on.
Laws don't work that way, and justice doesn't work that way. Justice doesn't work by emotion. And mercy is not emotional. Mercy is righteous. So you have to determine what's best for this person. I'm looking at this guy going, well, shoot, even if the story just played out without any conjecture on either side, you're looking at a guy who's trying to stop someone from being belligerent. And yeah, could it have been excessive? Sure. But the guy was also being excessive. What would have happened if Penny wouldn't have stepped in?
And the guy would have ended it. Let's just take it out to the extreme.
Right.
The guy acting belligerent, psychotic, some might argue, kills somebody.
Right.
Well, you know.
And I have to be careful because what ifs don't work, and that's also that also could be played as an emotional thing. So I'm not trying to do that. What I'm saying is, in a lot of ways, people don't have time to think when they see something belligerent happening. I can think of Penny in this situation. If I'm seeing someone go after somebody or whatever, I don't have time to think, if I do this, am I going to hurt him and kill him? You know what I mean? You step into action.
And your first thought is protect those who are in danger.
Right.
Right. And
I think another question real fast is, where are the other men around Penny?
And there were two other guys that helped him pin down this guy. right? But now was Penny the first one in? I don't know, you know. But if you got a group of guys, right, not just 2 others, but 4 or 5 guys, all of a sudden Penny doesn't have to do as much on that, you know. Penny doesn't have to feel like he's the one that is going to solve all the problems. Now, guy's a former Marine, so skill level is solve the problem, you know?
Yeah, this guy wasn't a slouch. He was going on the subway to go to the gym. Like, you can already tell. He's not a slouch. You know what I mean?
And in our thoughts, I said, look, we're racist white supremacists. So, of course, we're on the side of the architecture student who was a former Marine and on his way to the gym, as opposed to the homeless man who was high on drugs and threatening women and children while screaming somebody was going to die today and that he wasn't afraid to go to prison for life. I get it. We're white supremacists.
That's right.
But if I've got to draw my decision between those 2 characters, forgive me.
But I think, like you said, you know, we've seen this before. We've seen this with George Floyd. And could drugs have been a factor? And drugs, bad?
Okay.
All right. City Medical Examiner Dr. Cynthia Harris said Neely's autopsy, the bystanders video, and the investigative findings gave her all the information she needed.
The medical examiner, just little bait for you. Medical examiner, what's something that maybe she should have included in her death certificate but didn't seem to list there?
That's exactly right.
Massey, tell the folks what she forgot.
She said, no toxicological result imaginable was going to change my opinion, she said, even if they showed enough fentanyl to put down an elephant.
No.
Go for it.
No toxicological report before you determined cause of death. And you have the gall to say enough fentanyl to put down an elephant could not have been the cause of this.
That's right. No toxicological evidence needed, even if this guy was like hopped up on something to do something belligerent. Right. That means any force against this dude, even though he pumped himself up full of something, was worth his life, even though he was threatening others, even though we don't know what could have happened if this guy wouldn't have stepped in. Right. That's what I'm talking about. These people are no longer actually doing their job. They're becoming activists. And the real question is what are they after? They're after disorder. They love disorder. They want this to happen. The city of New York, and kudos to the mayor, man. That cat.
Yeah.
He's a unique cat. Definitely a unicorn in a political sense.
And I really think he's one of those that the Democrats burned one too many times, and so he's done. Just to your point, let me read his quote, and then I want you to finish your thought. He said, he blasted the media for portraying Jordan Neely as an innocent child. Adams said Penny did what New York City should have done as a city. A Democrat saying that? Dang. You have someone on that subway who is responding, doing what we should have done as a city in a state of having a mental health facility. It seemed like it was a young, innocent child who was brutally murdered, and it gave that impression. When you look at the photo that was being used, it wanted to set up in the minds of people that we were dealing with a young, innocent child, just a Michael Jackson imitator that was brutally assaulted. Which is true. They were circulating this picture because at one point this guy was a Michael Jackson impersonator, young Michael Jackson guy. But that was the photo they were using. They weren't using the photo from, the time that he... Right. Just like the guy who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump the first time. All the images you saw were of him when he was like 14 years old.
Exactly.
Why? Completely different at the age of trying to take out Trump. Anyways.
And I think, okay, so going back to just that alone. I'm gathering my thought here because I'm thinking about this medical examiner who said that. That is an obstruction of justice, dude.
I believe so.
It's you should lose your license to even do anything because you're obstructing justice.
Right.
Look, dude, think about it. If a cop pulls over someone for DUI, can we just go there?
Go there,
right?
Please go for it.
They pull someone over for DUI. And the cop arrests this person for being belligerent because they were hopped up on some drinking. The guy gets hurt in the scuffle, okay? Because he was being belligerent. Cop restrains him, puts him in the thing.
let's just say, right, you're going to know the guy was being pulled over for DUI. There's actual laws saying you can't drink too much when you drive.
Right.
So, yes, toxicology is important. Yes, drugs are a factor. And yes, it plays a huge part in what's going on.
Especially if this guy was on a bunch of downers or something. Now, he wasn't after it came out, but she didn't know that when she wrote if he was on a bunch of downers, right? And there's this crisis situation or he loses consciousness or whatever, well, very likely a person who is of a sober state, their heart might not stop in that situation. Right. Whereas somebody on drugs, it might.
Right. And I want to point this and make this very clear. You just said it. He was not on any kind of downers or anything like that.
He did have synthetic marijuana in his system, which synthetic marijuana, yes, I get it. I agree. It's some people are like, there it is. There's the drug. Well, hold on. Now, it has been linked and correlated to psychotic episodes, right? So psychotic episodes, because it's not very well regulated of what the ingredients in the synthetic marijuana
100%.
are.
100%.
Right? And so there's been cases of like extreme psychotic behavior, which lends credence to like, you don't know what that person is going to do when they're in that state of mind.
Right. But I think I was going with your downer thing. Like there was no downers. There was synthetic marijuana. But with the downers, all that stuff, like let's just say the point isn't or is that he was on drugs or not on drugs. It's the fact that this person said that doesn't play a factor.
Right.
That is destroying evidence. That's destroying justice. You're not running every facet. It's a free and fair, speedy trial. You're not doing that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I fully agree because now a medical examiner is given the authority to determine whether cause of death was homicide or not. That's true. But you just you named yourself as the one who should determine what is evidence and what isn't.
That's right. You just played judge, jury, and executioner.
Right.
You just said it didn't matter. This guy's guilty in my eyes. That's not your job.
Right.
Your job is to do toxicology. Shut up and do your job.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Get all the facts you can, then make a decision.
Yeah.
But you get all the facts you can.
Yeah, you weren't appointed on the jury or the judge. You weren't elected as a judge. Shut up and do your job. I mean, this is common sense. And what's happening, I don't know if you live in New York and you have any common sense. If you're fighting for freedom over there, praise God, I'm with you. If you're not and you're just chilling, y'all, I don't know what you're doing because it seems like it's crazy. It's San Francisco, like these places are just going nuts, right? And the fact that this is even a trial, I get it. Should there be some kind of a trial to say, hey, man, was this guy being stupid, with the belligerent guy? Yes. I don't think it should take this long, and I don't think there should be a hung jury.
Right, because that's, of course, where we are at now, is the jury is basically hung. The judge told them go back and talk about it more and even gave them directions of, Allen charges, which urges them to agree on a verdict. Allen charges have a controversial history, critics warning they can push jurors to change their views under pressure. Now, Penny's defense, they did ask for a mistrial, but the judge said he wanted to give jurors more time for an Allen charge. And
can I read Kathy Hochul?
Yeah, please. The cockroaches come out.
Yeah, I agree. So listen, whatever the jury is going to decide, I in some weird way, it's hard to trust the justice system nowadays. But I even want you to hear what the governor of New York said. And like Mike wrote, like cockroaches, politicians like Kathy Hochul couldn't help themselves. They come out for the morsel. They said, and this is what she said. Listen, I do want to acknowledge how horrific it was to view a video of Jordan Neely being killed for being a passenger on subway trains.
Boy, you didn't determine
just a passenger.
The verdict.
Just a passenger.
Killed for riding a subway train.
There had to be consequences, and so we will see how this unfolds.
But his family
deserves
justice.
Do they? His family deserves what? His family wasn't even there. What are you talking about? Nobody, see, this is what's so stupid. I don't deserve anything except my rights being upheld. This guy was being belligerent. You're already forfeiting your rights by doing that to people.
Right.
Don't you get it? See, this is where it's like words mean something. You know, like this whole argument from the left, I'm just kind of going on a caveat here. The argument from the left is, 60% of the illegal, those undocumented immigrants that come across aren't criminals. There's more crime committed by whites. And it's like the act of crossing the border made you a criminal. So 100%
of them are
criminals. And it's just like the way the wordings are placed. And even that, we used to call offenders outlaws. Not criminal, outlaw. Why? Because they just put themselves outside of the protection of the law because they broke the law. At that point, you forfeited your rights. Mm-hmm. That's it. And this person doing that to people, you're using your liberty to take away someone else's right, someone else's freedom, someone's liberty to ride that train. You know what I mean? Like, and again, I say, like, if this guy's being belligerent, he's going on the thing. Where's like the subway police and all them guys? What are they doing?
Yeah, and I read somewhere else that he was even on a wanted list for like the state of New York as far as like, because he had mental illness issues, which you're hearing everything we're saying. And some of you are probably screaming at the radio or the TV going, but he had mental issues. Yes. And there are cases of mental issues causing destruction. So the question is, do you allow consequences to happen even if somebody is not in their right mind?
And what happens? What happens? It's just a question. A man with mental illness kills somebody. What happens to this family of the victim that actually gets hurt? Is there justice for them? Or are you going to let that guy off and go, well, he's going to be in a mental ward for the rest of his life?
Yeah.
Because he can't help. Because we can't help, he can't help himself and all this.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
I'm the same way. Like, I understand people with mental issues need help. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if they're not in their right mind and they are a danger to society, just like a person on drugs, okay? You take some drugs, maybe you're out of your right mind, maybe
100.
You're not. But we can't just stop the show because you're not in your right mind and there are real consequences to that action. Right?
I just think that constitutionally, our federal government was to guarantee each state a Republican form of government, a representative government. And I'm looking at this whole judge, jury, executioner situation, and it just feels like, even especially in New York, there is no representation anymore. It's literally by emotions. It's not by fact. It's not by law. Again, you're seeing the governor saying he was just an innocent walker on a train. You've seen the medical examiner saying, I don't need to do my job. You're seeing the prosecutors trying to defend evil, right? Mm-hmm. And you're sitting here going, this is why it's so important to follow the Constitution as a moral and religious person. That's why John Adams said it. And I know if this gets cut out in a short, you're gonna see the responses go nuts. John Adams actually said it, and I've used this quote 100 times. He said, our Constitution was made only for moral and religious people. It's wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Because when you look at things through a spiritual, moral lens, this is an open and shut case. The video shows it itself. The guy was being belligerent. You got 1,000 witnesses. That's actually all biblical. You have witness, and I say 1,000 as an exaggeration. If you have 3 or more witnesses to the thing that this guy's doing, then case closed. This guy was being a jerk. Neely puts him down. He's trying to save people. Now, should Neely apologize? Of course.
Penny?
I'm sorry, Penny. Should Penny apologize and be like, man, I didn't mean to kill the guy? Like, yeah, the guy turned himself in. You saw, like, he was actually, he was trying to do something good. Right? So it's like, you look at this and you go, if we're not moral and religious, this is why this stuff keeps continuing. This is why we're empathizing more to the person breaking the law. We're not even appealing to the criminal anymore. Or I'm sorry, the victim. We're actually harboring the criminal over the victim. We don't even cater to a victim anymore. We're saying it's okay to be a criminal now. Matter of fact, there's so many criminals, we're going to ease the process. We're going to say in San Francisco, you can steal up to $1,000 now.
And by the way, we're gonna defund the police, and we're gonna use policies of restorative justice and and reparative justice, or however you want to. Like, the attitude at this point is very much, if you are a criminal, well, it's probably because bad things happen to you. So we want to have grace, mercy, love, and peace upon you.
That's so crazy, because a lot of things happen to people when they were younger, and yet we hold it against them, like Pete Hegseth, Kavanaugh.
Like you and I were talking about this morning.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
All these guys.
20 years ago.
30 years ago, something happened. Oh, shoot. It's over. That guy should not be a prosecutor or a judge because of what he did when he was in some high school frat party, probably pre-Jesus. We don't know, right? You're seeing all these things, but boy, when it comes to criminals' behavior, not someone trying to do righteousness, criminals' behavior, we have more empathy for the criminal, not the victim.
Right. And my guess is Penny was well enough trained from his military days to know what lethal force was versus controlling force.
Yeah.
And people, well, he should have let him go. He should have let him go. I don't know that he should have, because if the guy is either fighting, wrestling against him, and I don't know, right? I wasn't there, so I'm just thinking this through out loud. If the guy's kind of wrestling, pushing against him, or even if the guy's like, okay. Well, as soon as you let it, you release, he runs, and then he disappears. So then he's not brought into the system. He has the danger of going and terrorizing somebody else 15 minutes later.
Right.
So Penny's thought was keep him under control until the cops get here.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Right.
Easiest way to control him is the position you have him in by controlling him by the neck.
And I will say, too, no matter what the jury decides, no matter what the judge throws the gavel down on, some statue will be erected for Neely, I'm sure. He'll be a saint.
Oh, yeah. And
you know, all those things.
And, of course, this case isn't even ended yet. And
we'll tear down statues of actually guys who actually changed society. We'll tear their statues down.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to these guys, like the George Floyd, sorry, guys, I don't care if you like my opinion or not. The guy was on drugs, and he was also being belligerent, and he got killed.
Yeah.
Okay, that sucks, but
he was a dangerous guy.
He was. And then you see this, and we're putting up murals and erecting statues. You are actually destroying what mercy really is in favor of wickedness. And that's what's so perverted about the system. It's actually what's so perverted about most people, because Mike even wrote about the time he was in jury. And I don't want to go too deep. Actually, I like to go deep into it. You wrote in here that you sat on a jury once, and I want you to kind of explain this, but brains have become so warped by emotions. And I kind of want you to elaborate on this for a minute, and then we'll close out.
I was telling Massey this morning that I've kind of lost faith in the judicial system.
Totally.
And unfortunately, it's because I've sat with that jury of my peers, and I'm like, I don't want them trying me. People are insane. So I sat on a jury, and I won't go deep into what the case was, but basically, I sat on that jury, and I watched this case, and I was like, the guy did it. It was a guy was driving like 120, 130 miles per hour down the highway. Cop pulls him over, arrests him. He's fighting the arrest, saying it wasn't me, it was somebody else.
Of course not.
Right. And there were issues with the video, the cop's video, because the video turns on when the cop turns on his light, and it goes 60 seconds back. Well, it took him several minutes to catch up to be able to turn on his lights. So there's a time period where you don't have video of. So it's cop's word versus guy's word, right? And I'm sitting in that jury room when, like, you know, judge has to talk to the lawyers quiet separately, and jury can't be in there for that conversation. You would go back to the jury room, and we would start obviously talking about the case. And I'm looking around, and these are like TikTok soaked brains that I'm dealing with here. And they're like, I don't like that cop. Like, he seems like he has an attitude, and I don't trust him. And it's like, but you trust the sleazy guy sitting across from you who's on video apologizing the whole way to the jail to the cop. And I was like, what do you think he's apologizing for? Well, we don't know, so we can't assume. It's like beyond reasonable doubt means like you're past there's a reasonable doubt to this into no, there's a reasonable conclusion we can make to this.
Can I ask you a question on that video? Is showing the cop chasing the guy?
So yes. So
wait, the guy was speeding?
The guy was speeding.
Okay, enough said.
Right?
Close case.
Right. So
Close case.
He's in the far lane when the camera picks up. You can see him fly past a couple other cars. He's far off, but if you track it back when the cop's finally behind him, that's the car that was flying past people. So he flies past some people, cops coming up, cuts a couple of people off, right? So he had a reckless driving charge or something. Cop finally gets up to him because he's in the slow lane trying to act like he's part of traffic. Cop pulls him over, arrests him. He's apologizing on the way to the... Now, if you're just Joe Schmo driving under the speed limit in the slow lane and cop pulls you over, arrests you, what are you apologizing for? What are you apologizing
Exactly.
for? Right? Especially because this guy's so clean cut, so smart and suave in the courtroom, and he's playing his fiddle well. That's not the guy who apologizes if you've arrested him and he's innocent, right?
That's right.
So I'm sitting on this jury. The defense rests or whatever. Judge gives the instructions to the jury pool, and the judge was great, gives instructions to the jury pool. I was the alternate. But they don't tell you that until the end because you have to hear the whole case, right? I was the alternate. So I didn't get to go back in the room to deliberate the case. So the bailiff's like, as they're walking me out, they're like, do you want to know the verdict when they come to verdict? Yeah, absolutely. You tell me this one. So they called me like an hour and a half later and they're, yep, found not guilty. I was like, are you kidding me? Seriously? Yep, not guilty. They're like, dang, dude.
Yeah, perversion.
Dang. Yep.
Again, it's that idea of emotion, and that's why we do. Okay, the whole idea is mercy is not always up for me to give. Forgiveness is, but not mercy.
And
right?
you related that to like the whole Biden thing, which I think is important. Joe Biden.
Oh yeah. So I will relay this. Whoopi Goldberg said, why can't we just see it basically as a father's intuition, a father's love? I think that's the word she used. Don't quote me on that. But she said something about a father. That is not how the justice system works. We don't do it because we're nice people. That's just not how this works. You don't pardon someone for 11 years of their record because you're trying to be a nice dad. Now there's talks about Fauci and all these other ones going to get pardoned. You don't do that because you're being a nice guy.
Which they haven't even been charged with anything. So how do you pardon them for stuff that's supposedly...
100%. 100%. This is where it gets dangerous, is that we use emotions rather than just principle. If God can move on somebody, which I've seen this, and I've heard many stories of this happening, a guy walking in guilty as heck. And all of a sudden they're like praying. They're like, Lord, I see the light. I didn't mean to. And also the judge goes, listen, I don't know what. I don't think this case merits anything. You're going to throw it out, and you're like, man, I was facing 3 years. I've heard these stories, and it's been pretty awesome that God would work that mercy, but that had nothing to do with you or an emotion. That wasn't an emotional thing. It wasn't me trying to put on a suave face. I'm guilty, man. It is what I suck. Where's the guilt of the criminal anymore? I'm guilty, dude. Sorry. I
nowhere to be found.
Right.
Like,
when you get pulled over, it's like, do you justify why you're going fast? Or you're just like, hey, I was going fast.
Yeah. How many of you get mad at the cop because the cop pulled you over when you're going 20 over?
Yeah, it's like, oh, that jerk.
How dare he pull me over?
Yeah.
It was like, you were doing 70 in a 35 and you hit 3 kids on your way. Like, I think he can pull you over.
Yeah, it actually happened to us.
You didn't hit 3 kids, though.
No, it happened to us where I got pulled over in Texas. I haven't had a ticket in a long time, probably 10 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't see the speed limit change from 45 to 35. And he got me going 10 over the speed limit. So I was like, okay, And then he wasn't very personable at all. I actually told the judge this in Texas because I got to talk to her on the phone, and I said, look, he wasn't being very personal. Not that I care about that, but I was trying to talk to him, and he got me in a couple other things. Like one of my kids didn't have the seatbelt, but he was napping, so it's like my fault, whatever. And my wife said, he's just doing his job. And I was like, you're right. He's just doing his job. And I just kind of thought he was kind of being a little bit standoffish. And I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm sorry. Shouldn't say it like that. I was breaking the law, but I felt like I made him mad or something. I was like, I didn't mean to, So the judge said the reason that he was acting standoffish to you, and I said, is he okay? I was genuinely concerned. Like, is he all right? She said we've actually ordered all of our officers to do that because of the anti-police sentiment out there. We want them to do no engagement, none of that stuff. You just get in, do your job, get out. And I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bad on me. I shouldn't have assumed that the guy was having a bad day. My fault. You know what I mean? But I did tell the cop, I broke the law. Give me the ticket. What am I going to do? Can't get mad at him for it. I'm the one who broke the law. I didn't see it, but hey, it's there. You know what I mean? So I think it's just up to us to get the motion out of the way and stick to principle.
Yeah. And we'll round this out. I mean, we'll see what ends up happening. I thought it was an interesting case because it kind of brings together, of course, all of this stuff of like the whole, as soon as somebody dies that's not white, there has to be a protest and a riot, and it's all about race and, lock the guy up. And then the politicians have to get involved. And, of course, the Kathy Hochul's of the world have to make their opinion known before there's ever anything. I'm surprised Rittenhouse didn't get nailed because of stuff.
Agree.
People were saying, politicians were saying, and all that, right? And I think Chauvin got thrown to the wolves. Now, do I think that Chauvin shouldn't have got charged with anything? I'm not going that far, but he got what, like 25? For 25. That
he got rocked.
Yeah, exactly.
He got rocked.
And you just showed every cop in America. Yeah, you could go away for a long time if you're trying to do your job.
100%.
So I thought this case was interesting because it's an intersection of all that, and we were talking about jury stuff.
Sure.
Like you've got to have a moral and upright people who want to approach life with wisdom as your jury.
Totally.
And the jury system is so messed up right now because, hey, give us 3-4 weeks of your life, we'll pay you $30 a day.
100%.
Right? And nobody wants to do it, like you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, this morning we were walking, and I was like, dude, nobody wants to do. Like,
no.
How many of you guys, when you get a jury duty summons, you're like, oh, yes, I get to be a part of our judicial system and make a difference in my community? No, you're like, crap. I hope they don't call me. I hope they forget about it. What excuse can I make so I don't have to go?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you get a bunch of disgruntled people that don't want to be there.
Yeah.
What's that whole case going to be like? And it's scary. So I don't know.
And then people just they make their decisions based on emotions and what they feel. There's several of the jurors that I was with, they didn't like the cop. So it was like, well, that must mean the guy's guilty or innocent. Well, not really.
Maybe.
Anyways, so check it out. Keep eye on this case. But it's Friday, so you guys y'all enjoy your weekend. We'll see you Monday. And don't forget, check out the Self-Evident newsletter. Check out our end of the year run. Please,
we could use your help.
Pray about supporting Self-Evident. Go to theselfevidenttruth.com. Click that donate button. Okay, guys, that's enough. Go have fun. Love y'all. Bye.